Hi, welcome to West 57. They were the first of the great girl groups, the ones whose songs captured the innocence and the romance of the early 60s, and songs that have been playing all over the world ever since. They are the Shirelles. Dionne Warwick used to sing backup for them, and even the Beatles recorded one of their songs. That was more than 20 years ago. Today, they no longer perform together, but the three surviving Shirelles have solo acts. Acts that are being ripped off by a fraud that has hit not only the Shirelles, but the Drifters, the Coasters, Little Eva, and many of the other great rock and roll originals.
Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this, my mama says.
Now, if I go see the Shirelles, if I see it advertised, the Shirelles tonight in concert, who am I going to be seeing?
I don't know.
Shirley Alston Reeves was the lead voice on most of the Shirelles' hits and still makes a living singing all their old songs. So does Doris Jackson, whose choir-trained voice is the one you hear at the beginning of Dedicated to the One I Love.
This is dedicated to the one I love. Soldier boy.
And Beverly Lee, who joined them in making the Shirelles the girl group that all the others imitated, is on stage night after night, billing her group as the Shirelles.
Please feel free to join in.
You were my first love.
Then there are these Shirelles, just one of several bogus groups who have literally stolen the act, the name, and the nostalgia of a group whose own story began as innocently as all those first love stories they'd sing about.
Tonight you're mine completely. You gave me your love so sweetly.
In the first 4 years of the 60s, the Shirelles sold over 40 million records with 6 top 10 hits on Billboard's charts. And no one was more surprised than Beverly, Doris, Micki, and Shirley.
Never dreamt about being a big star. No one, it didn't cross anyone's mind.
So you were just doing it to have some fun.
Yeah. And later on, the way we got discovered was in school. We were fooling around, singing in gym. We were harmonizing and carrying on. And our teacher said that we'd have to either sing in the upcoming talent show in school, or we'd have to stay after school.
Did show, and in the audience was a classmate whose mother owned a record company, and she pursued us every day after school to let her mother hear the song that we had sang, which we also wrote.
What song was that?
I Met Him on a Sunday.
Well, I met him on a Sunday.
They sang the song, I Met Him on a Sunday, to me, and I thought it was cute. And I played it for a few people in the music business, and they said, "You've got something, Florence. You really have something."
Florence Greenberg had actually only dreamed about being in the music business before that. But with the Shirelles, she too stepped innocently into a world she knew nothing about.
I decided I was in the record business, and the Shirelles were going to be big stars.
And they were for over a decade, until 1976, when Shirley, the lead singer, went out on her own. It was as emotional as any divorce and ended in a dispute so bitter she's still legally unable to use the group's name.
When you break something, it fragments. And when it fragments, people can pick up the pieces. Other people pick up the pieces.
There's one thing I want you to do.
Enter the bogus groups. Using a home video camera, we taped these so-called Shirelles performing at a high school in New York's Bronx. Even though such groups play hundreds of concerts every year, worth more than an estimated $100,000 to each Shirelle, none of them had ever seen their fake counterparts before we showed them our tape.
Oh my God.
Do you recognize any of the people
I've
on that
never
tape?
in life laid eyes on them. I don't know who they are, and they have no right saying they are the Shirelles.
Beverly holds the U.S. trademark to the name the Shirelles and is seeking one in Canada. On the tickets for this show, it says the Shirelles. They're introduced as the Shirelles.
They have no right being introduced as Shirelles. They are the Shirelles. They've never been a Shirelle.
What do you think?
Pretty bad. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for anyone to, I would.
How is it possible for these imitation groups to keep on working, to get booked in various clubs and halls and schools?
They couldn't do it without the help of some promoters that I have a name for.
You have a person who will see a way of making money, maybe, and decide that, well, I need some drifters today. There's a market for some Marvelettes. There's a market for whomever from the 50s and 60s, knowing that possibly people would not recognize them or not diehard fans to remember names or faces.
Would it be easier to fight these battles if you and Beverly and Shirley were together?
It would be easier. Yes, it would. However, I'm not so sure that would really stop anything. There's always going to be somewhere out on the outer edge who's going to try it. And one of the things that makes it really difficult is because we're talking about throughout the country, possibly outside of the country, and that takes a lot of time and money.
Acting on a tip, we decided to try and find out who was behind the group we saw and went to a storefront in the Bronx where we'd sent our $15 for concert tickets. We wanted to talk with two men named Stanley Kreschauer and Don Anthony. Hi, you know where I can find Don Anthony? How about Stanley Kreschauer?
Nope.
Is anybody in the office?
Oh, that's the move.
We knew Anthony and Kreschauer had once been involved with the management of two real Shirelles, though they weren't any longer. But what we didn't know was why their office now accepts money for tickets to phony Shirelle shows. We also didn't know why there was a sign in the window for limousine rentals. Stanley Kreschauer?
Yeah.
He's not here
They're
right
both
now?
out of town.
They're both out of town. You know when they'll be back?
Then about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Later, this man would be identified as Stanley Kreschauer. Okay. Do you,
What are you taking my picture for?
well, we're from CBS. We're doing a story on the Shirelles.
Oh, I don't know anything about it. I'm just answering the phone. The guy let me
You don't
use
have
the
anything to
phone.
do with the concert that was at the high school on the 17th
No.
at the local high school?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not even in that business.
Who's, you're leaving the office, there's nobody here.
No,
Who's,
there's a guy in the bathroom there.
Well, who is in, anyway?
They're not in. This is some people sublease the place in the back.
Well, who's the guy in the bathroom?
He has nothing to do with that company.
He's not, well, what's his name?
Huh? I don't even know him.
You don't know him. We got a much more cordial reception from one of the fake Shirelles after her concert.
It's not as if they've protested. They've been very helpful.
Now, how have you been helpful, Beverly?
With them,
Yeah.
I never knew they existed until right now.
They helped us with the charts and the leads. There has been contact with them.
Oh, I don't know them. I've never seen them before in my life. And I've got to stop there or else it'll get worse. I don't know them. I've never seen them in my life. I've never had any contact with them. God forbid I should.
But the plot is thicker than just a bunch of denials. Back at the ticket, talent, and limousine office, this man, who said he was only connected with limousine rentals, showed up. Who is Don Anthony?
He was just here.
He was just here.
Yeah.
Who did we see him? Did
No,
we
that's
walk by him?
Stanley. He just went in the car and left.
Oh. Well, wait a minute. I'm confused.
I came out because she called me in the store, said there was guys.
Which one was Don Anthony?
I don't know.
Oh. Later, one of the real Shirelles identified this man as Don Anthony.
I wasn't here. The fella got in the car. That's Stanley Kreschauer. Where did he go?
Well, wait a minute. The guy who I talked to
gray-headed guy.
said that Stanley Kreschauer and Don Anthony were away for 2 weeks. They'd be back in 2
Stanley
weeks.
Kreschauer was the guy you just were talking to, the gray-headed guy.
I asked him. He said.
Well, what is it
Stanley and
about?
Don
Tell me
are
what
away
is
for
it?
2 weeks.
What is it about?
The Shirelles,
Yeah.
who were at the show
Yeah.
that we're talking about,
Yeah.
were not the Shirelles.
No. Those were the Shirelles that Doris Jackson gave Stanley Creshow the right to use when she left Amro Talent.
This is a letter from signed by you to a Mr. Don Anthony. And according to the letter, dear Mr. Anthony, this letter will confirm the fact that as my manager, we have reached an agreement whereby for the sum of $25,000 cash, I have given you permission to form a group called Doris Jackson's Shirelles. What does this mean exactly?
Exactly that, nothing.
Is that your signature?
No, it is not.
Back in the Bronx, Anthony said he had written proof that Doris gave people in his office the right to sign her name, a fact she denies. While he looked for the document, we noticed a picture of some imitation Shirelles on the wall. In the end, Anthony could not provide proof that the letter was anything other than a forgery, and conceded this.
I don't think it's a valid letter, no. No. I don't think so.
And what about the validity of the picture on the wall?
First place, they are fake. And I'm going to get rid of them. And you'll never see them work again for this office.
Now, would you be doing that if we didn't come in?
I would do the same thing if you didn't come in. That has to be the God honest truth, and I'm telling you the truth.
Even though the total number of groups posing as the Shirelles is just about to be reduced by one, Anthony said he knows of 7 more. So the next time you hear the Shirelles or some other old group from your past are in town, listen carefully.
But will you love me?